It feels like my life has been just a big transition after transition in this country. We live in a place, in a mountain. My mom still lives there. So since we were in the gorge of the mountain, there was a little creek. And when it rains, it will fill up. We'll go down and look for pieces of wood. And in the evenings, we can see the fireflies. My friends will say, we're going to go play basketball. I love to play basketball. And I'll say, I'll go to the march. I like the environment of people feeling like they were doing something because they were asking for their rights. In the countryside, people were being persecuted, killed, and then in San Salvador, some of the teacher leaders were captured, put in jail. And by that time, I entered to the National University of El Salvador, and I was getting more involved. In 1981, my husband, he was a philosophy professor. He went to a meeting and he didn't come back. He's one of the 10,000 disappeared people in El Salvador. It was 1982. It was like maybe 9 p.m. It was raining and knocks at the door. They tie my hands behind me, my thumbs, and they blindfold me and push me out. I was with my daughter, and I left my daughter with my friend. They sent me to the women's prison, and at the women's prison I was for 10 months. Actually, I went to in front of a military judge. I asked, so how is that I'm being detained? I have been beat up and tortured, and why? And he was like, well, sorry that happened to you, but you are going to stay here until communism fails. My daughter at that time was 2.5 years old, and my mom will bring her to visit me in jail. She always was wanting me to go with her to home, and I have to explain to her, well, I gotta stay in this house. I need to cook and clean it. And there were 91 of us at the women's prison, and we were granted with amnesty. When I was released, I was very confused, and I feel kind of numb. I was very afraid. But then my mom went, and next day we went and talked to friends and of my mother, and we went and took pictures and got my passport and my daughter's passport, my sister's passport, and we got visas to go to Mexico. I was in Mexico City for, we'll say, 5 weeks. We decided that, okay, let's go to Los Angeles, and maybe from there we'll see how it is and we can apply to political asylum. Crossing the border was an ordeal, and I guess we were lucky, enough that days weren't like nowadays. A lot of people are killed. So I arrived to 36th place in Vermont, and campus USC is close by, so I used to walk there, take Sarah with me, and we'll play around. Campus universities have kind of about the same feeling, and I really like to go just there and walk around with her. I feel like being at the university in El Salvador. So I went to this garment factory, and the factory was basically to sort by color clothing, dresses and blouses stuff. One day I was needing to use the bathroom, and I walked to the bathroom, and everyone was looking at me like, you're not supposed to do that. And I said, well, that's a basic human right. If I need to use the bathroom for whatever need I have, I don't need permission from anyone to go and do that. And so I started looking at people's checks, and I said, well, you are missing some dollars here, right? And they started to ask, and then I was fired. I was invited by the program of torture survivors to do a testimony in front of the city council. And as I was leaving, and across me was this man, and he says to me, "Oh, and what you are doing now?" I was like, "I'm looking for a job." We might need some people for taking care of kids. And I started doing that on October. And I was working at a mansion on 7 in New Hampshire. And after that, Oris booth was open on 2011. And I was moved here to start like the community services program. Children from 2nd, 3rd grade will come and do art classes, and I will be transporting them sometimes, to go to Echo Park Lake and do drawings there, nature walks. Many of the students or youth who participated in the program, I have seen gone to the university, UCLA, Cal State LA, Northridge, graduating. Some of them are working here. I always felt like, okay, I was a philosophy student in El Salvador. How can I need to finish this, right? And when I went to the LACC in Pasadena City College, and I talked to them, they were like, well, most likely you have to start from the beginning. And I was like, okay, the sooner the better. So in 2003, I went back to school. So I transferred in 2007, transferred to Cal State Northridge, and I got my BA on British and English Lit. My great-grandmother will say, never take no for answer. When people say you cannot do that, you can do whatever you want. So, and I feel that way. And if I can help someone, I do it. And if I cannot, I step away, as my great-grandmother and grandmother used to say. Families come to this country and they have to work, and they don't see, they don't make a space to talk about things, and that becomes a deeper trauma. They're coming from Central America, right, where there has been wars and there has been a lot of violence. So I see that through facilitating the process of talking, the kids and the family, for the kids and the family, CII is supporting that process, that healing process. If I can speak to my younger self, I will say, this is very hard, but it's not going to be lasting 100 years. We'll be able to overcome it with time, and we'll be at a better place.